Today, Dr. Mark Williamson is going to speak. He and his wife are co-owners of the family farm here. You've heard of it as the Grove. It's the Williamson Family Farm now. Mark grew up on that farm with his sister Tony. Mark moved away and went to medical school in Chicago, ended up practicing orthopedic surgery for 25 years, and has recently come back to the farm. He's going to go through some of this background. I found it interesting that they have turned the farm into an agritourism business focusing on organic farming, festivals and private events. Education and research play a prominent role in carrying on the legacy of his father, who started that farm over 50 years ago. Mark and Alice, they have 3 children. Alice is his wife, 3 adult sons who have different careers but share common themes in service to others. In Mark's spare time, he volunteers with Boy Scouts of America, Young Life, and enjoys everything outdoors. Please welcome Dr. Mark Williamson.
Well, great. This is super to be here today. I recognize a lot of familiar faces and everything. Just by a show of hands, how many of you have been to the Williamson Family Farm? Wow, that's...
We got a Rotary event there.
Okay, there you go. So a lot of you know a lot about what the facility looks like and everything, but I think in order to give you a better idea of what our future is, I'd like to begin with the past. And I think anytime we engage with people, there's always a story. A story is what makes things come alive. And so this story begins back in 1917, back when my dad was born in Milton, Tennessee. So he went to college at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and he graduated with a degree in agriculture. World War II happened, 1941, and then around 1945 was when he enlisted. He was assigned to the western side of the U.S., working under General MacArthur as a radio operator, and ran missions across the North Pacific Ocean. A lot of them were in the region of Japan. As you know, Japan was a major conflict for the United States. 1945, the U.S. bombed Tokyo. Tokyo was primarily a city built of wood, and the bombings and the fires basically took that city out. Shortly thereafter, the complete atomic bomb destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the war ended. My dad responded to a core value which had been instilled in him probably through the lineage to stay on after World War II, serving under General MacArthur in the agricultural restoration of Japan. As you can imagine, this was a peace offering that the U.S. made to Japan in trying to restore relationships and rebuild their economy and recognize forgiveness. Just a tremendous peace offering that America made. So what was happening in Japan that would require him to be out there and do this work? Well, if you think about it, all of the young men in Japan had left the farm and gone to war, right? All of the mothers, the women, all of the children, all of the older men had left the farm to work in the war factories. So the agricultural industry of Japan was completely non-existent. So my dad's role as with an agricultural degree was to help in the restoration of the rice paddies in the agricultural industry of Japan. He was stationed at the Daiichi Hotel in Tokyo. And my mom, full-blood Japanese, my mom worked as a desk clerk at the front desk of the Daiichi Hotel. Now, back in those days, ballroom dancing was very, very popular. And the Daiichi Hotel happened to have a ballroom on the second floor of the hotel. So with his broken English, his broken Japanese and her broken English, their relationship blossomed around the two-step and the foxtrot. He'd spend his day working in the rice paddies with all the farmers in Japan, and then he'd come back at the end of the day. He'd wait for her to get off her shift, and then they would head upstairs to the second floor to the ballroom and spend the rest of the evening just having a glorious time. Their relationship continued as he was transferred to Korea and subsequently to the Philippines, where he became the chief agricultural engineer of the Philippine Islands. They were married at a civil consulate in Korea, and he finished his tour of duty in 1951, taking 2 years to travel the world with my mom, landing back in Milton, Tennessee, 1953. That fall, Labor Day weekend, he found the farm out on Manson Pike back there and bought it, and the rest of it is history. It's been in our family since 1953. We continue to work it. We love the land. It's a beautiful place, and many of you know all about that. So as the city grew, the farm became more and more in the middle of the city. And the city grew west, the farm stayed where it was, and now it's kind of in the gateway, right there at the gateway to Murfreesboro. So my dad's journey of the farm, let's move along to the farm now. I could spend a lot of time here, so I've only got a little bit of time. So his vision of the farm and his mission of the farm was really, his vision was really of who the farm was, not of what, because to him, the land was not a what, it was a who. And he really gave the land life. Slowly, steadily, with his trusted partner and his ever loyal wife by his side, he conquered the new frontier. And initially, my dad milked by hand, selling his milk with no cooling tank for cheese and butter. Shortly thereafter, like about a year after he bought the farm, like that was 1954, he built a state-of-the-art milk barn with the modern techniques and some of the latest ideas and advanced design. And at that point, grade A milk production became a staple of the Williamson Family Farm and legacy. So, over the next 3 years, first my sister was born, and then I was born. The main barn that many of you have been in was expanded. And if you go in there now, you probably have seen the hoof prints in the concrete of a road cow who got out and started stirring up the concrete before it had a chance to cure. So the milking process took 2.5 hours with a half hour of cleanup. Milked twice a day, 4 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the afternoon. During the summer, my mother would take the afternoon shift as my dad and I worked the fields. We were a small one-family operation. My dad, my mom, my sister, me, and one tenant. Needless to say, I knew where I was going to be every afternoon after school, every weekend, and every summer until I went away to college. Likewise, my sister Tony shucked corn, fed the calves, chopped the thistles, to a college called her way. So, by 1980, both Tony and I had left the farm to begin our own careers. I graduated from Riverdale High School. Yep. Attended Georgetown College in Kentucky. Then I went to medical school at the University of Tennessee in Memphis. Got my medical degree there. Went to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and became an orthopedic surgeon. That wasn't enough. Did fellowship training in spine surgery, and then another fellowship in pediatric orthopedic surgery up in Chicago. I left there, I went to Kansas City, where I was the director of scoliosis and spinal reconstruction division of the Children's Mercy Hospital. Eventually landed in Statesville, North Carolina, where I spent the next 25 years as a spinal surgeon and an adult orthopedic reconstructive surgeon. Still, my dad, my mom, milk cows twice a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So, in the 1980s, my sister Tony was married with 2 children, living in Georgia. By 1988, I was well into my career as an orthopedic spine surgeon. And that was the year my dad milked his last cow, sold the herd, stepped away from the farm. He was 70 years old. Over the next 30 years, Murfreesboro grew. And yet the farm, fortunately, remained intact. But here's the question. For what purpose? Why was it intact? With my father's passing in 2004 and my mother's willingness to hand over the decision-making process to my sister and me, the farm had lost its rudder. As Murfreesboro and Rutherford County grew, the farm had no North Star. Tony, my sister, Alice, my wife, and I, well, we began to strategize as to the vision and the mission of the farm. And as we talked through our vision, a memory kept coming back in my mind of a time that I had a conversation with my dad. I was a senior in college, and I wanted to know why he worked so hard as a farmer. So one day I asked him, I said, "Dad, why do you work so hard to milk cows?" I was pretty sure what his answer was. I just wanted to hear from his perspective. And he said, I knew what he was going to say. I knew he was going to say, well, I wanted to make sure that you and your sister had a good education. Or he was going to say, well, I wanted to make sure your mom and I had a good retirement. Or he was going to say, I didn't want to go into the office and I didn't want to have to report to somebody. I mean, that was pretty much what he was going to say, one of those three. So I waited, and what he said was this: "Son, the reason I milk cows is because I want every little boy and every little girl in Murfreesboro to get to start their day with a carton of milk." My father's vision of selfless service to the welfare of others, regardless for his own hardships or for regardless of what was his own needs, was astounding to me and completely mind-blowing. It changed the way I saw the world, that one interaction. And his vision of selfless service became the foundation for what Tony and Alice and I plan to take the farm going forward. So what is that? We're developing a unique, authentic Tennessee venue, offering diverse events and activities for the community, as well as creating a working organic farm. All right? So we've just recently finished the first phase of this next chapter of the Williamson Family Farm by turning the front portion of the farm into a venue, which includes a 5-acre private event space for weddings, social events, corporate gatherings, corporate events. We have 2 grand indoor barn spaces, a state-of-the-art commercial kitchen, 4 luxurious private suites with acres of space for outdoor and tented activities for up to 2,500 guests. And since the initial renovation completed last year, we've held food truck Thursdays with as many as 15 food trucks in our parking lot. We had a blueberry festival, including a blueberry U-pick with during the harvest season. We've had a pecan festival, which included hay rides, live bands, lawn games, pecan pie eating contest. That was pretty good. We had a holiday market a few days after Thanksgiving to kick off the Christmas holiday season with booths in both of our main barns and a professional photographer taking pictures with Santa. So we'll soon begin construction of a state-of-the-art festival grounds, which will promote crops, food, and music. This 40-acre tract will be complete with food stands, drink stations, farm-related activities such as hay rides and fire pits, and live music from our festival amphitheater. We'll be able to host larger events, larger crowds, as well as large corporate events for people. We've also devoted 150 acres of our farm for a level of farming called regenerative organic agriculture, which is the next step above organic certified farming. So if you get into that world, that'll mean something to you because it just gets more and more complicated. So regenerative organic agriculture. This part of the farm will be anchored by our apple orchard and our blueberry fields, which will be there for abundant fruits for all of our patrons. This past week, we were planting 500 apple trees a day. And last year we planted 2,500. This year we're planting 6,300 this year. So finally, we're developing partnerships with grade schools, high schools, and universities for both educational processes and for research opportunities. We're going to incorporate livestock and animals into the final design. We'll have organic, food-centric long table dinners, as well as cooking classes that will be being part of this. And all of this is being done with the end in mind, and that is that the farm will be put into a foundation which will endure in perpetuity, so that all people, present and future, will derive sustenance from the legacy displayed by Bascom and Mitsue Williamson. So this legacy of selfless service to the welfare of others, which began and having existed in the Williamson lineage long before my dad arrived on this planet, will forever endure. We will be good stewards. We will serve others. We will be an asset to all, and we will always have a place for you. So I ask you, the 4 steps, the 4-way test. You said it. We believe it. I hope that we represent it well. I feel a real passion and a commitment to Murfreesboro, to Rutherford County. My sister does. My wife does. We share that. And we're here for you. We are developing a park that the city neither has to purchase, pay for, or upkeep. That's the way we see it. A lot of people say, you guys are crazy. You could sell that thing for a ton of money. Yes, we could. But no, we won't. And there you have it. Does that mean it's easy? No. Does that mean there's not risk? No, there's a lot of risk. Does that mean we're rolling in cash? Not at all. It's tough. It's really tough. But it's a commitment that we've made. And we're going to follow it through as long as I've got a breath I can take. And I hope that means something to you. I'm here for questions. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. It is such an honor to me to have you be a part of our journey, to know that so many of you have been out to the farm to experience it. And it's a true gift that you have given to us. We take that very seriously, and we truly thank you for your partnership and for what you mean. Thank you. Yes.
How bad did the winter freeze hurt your crops?
So you got to be pretty nimble with all that. And I'll tell you, the hardest thing is growing. Here's the hardest crop: growing strawberries under organic conditions, because you can't use any pesticides. You can't use any. I mean, you can use some organic pesticides, fungicides, all that. It's very, very difficult. We had row covers out there. We got sprinkler systems going. A lot of that was really tough. If you can, and a lot of it has to do with knowing the crops. If you can catch the crops before they bud, a lot of them will go dormant in the wintertime. So a lot of our trees did fairly well. The tips of them, we lost a few tips, but most of the trees did pretty well because they weren't budding. They were right before that. Now, if they had budded, that would have been much more difficult. You're right. It's quite a challenge. The other thing that's challenging on an aside is, like with any business, all the water lines that are everywhere. I'm trying to keep them from freezing, and just all that sort of stuff. So that was tough. We got an awesome agriculture team. I mean, our farm team is just. We've got an organic farmer that has a master's. He had out of Appalachian State University, ASU, and he loves organic farming. He is a master at sustainability, and just he'll blow your mind. If you ever get a chance to come out and have a hayride and he leads it, it's just mind blowing. He's so much fun. He's got the biggest smile of anybody I've ever seen. Best attitude, just a super guy. So, yeah.
Most of the people who work on the land are volunteers?
Nope, they're all paid. We have very few volunteers. We would like to do that, but right now we just haven't gone that direction because we are at such a crucial point that everything has to be done to such a high standard that we just don't have the ability yet to incorporate a lot of that. We do believe that there's going to be great opportunities for that. We've got ideas so our concept with education is we got 4th and 5th graders that we want to bring on and start teaching them about how to get their hands into the soil. Then we want to capture the FFA kids out of high school and bring them in for trade things like pruning bushes or trees, planting vegetables, taking care of the animals, farm maintenance work, even things in the high school. We have internships that we want to start creating with MTSU. We've got research opportunities with our high tunnel house and our organic gardening that we're doing there. We have a pop-up restaurant now called L'Orange, which you may or may not have heard of, but if you have not heard of, I'll tell you, their food is just incredible. He's a chef from France. And it's a French restaurant. It's only seats 60 people, so it's a fairly small. and he only does 2 servings, and that's 2 days a week, and that's every other week. So he sells out every single time. It's unbelievable. Food is just tremendous. Yeah.
I want to commend you. You were up there talking, and my farm has been in the family since 1932. And I'm like Mark, they built all around me, cities all around me. People wanted to buy it, and I don't have any restrictions. I could sell it if I wanted to, but my heart's into the farming just like Mark, and I hope I'm dead and gone before the farm gets sold. But when Mark was talking, it really made cold chills go up down my back to think that what he's done, instead of taking the easy way out and sell it, take the money and run, he's put a lot of stress and money in it, and it's a real challenge for him to put this together. Like me, it's a challenge to make a living farming, and I really commend them as a family to put this organization together to help teach young children. And I mean, a lot of these kids know nothing about agriculture or farming, and I can see a lot of good things coming out of this in the years to come. So I commend y'all very much, Mark, for not taking the easy way out and putting all this together. It's y'all done a great job. Keep it up.
Appreciate that. My youngest son is working on the farm full time now. He's the agriculture manager, and he's also the operations manager. And we might put him into some roles in sales. So he's really all over that place. We've got a Cracker Jack sales team. Got an assistant general manager. We've got consultants. Our consultants come out of Kansas City, and they also come. And our other chief consultant is out of Traverse City, Michigan. So we've really dialed it in. Yes.
Mark, 2 questions. One, I can't imagine being an organic farmer with 2,4-D in the air, dandelions in the air, birds bringing in pathogens. So talk a little bit about that, and if you've had any thoughts or experiences with a land conservation trust.
Yeah, so as far as organic farming, because of the potential that you're talking about of non-organic pesticides and herbicides and fungicides being in the air in the surrounding area, you have to create a buffer around the farm. So we have to have a 50-foot buffer all the way around the perimeter of the farm, and then we have to fence everything based on that buffer to keep everything out. We do have a TVA power line that cuts across the farm on the back side of it. And they typically spray. We have had to petition to them to ensure that they don't spray that area of our farm. We commit to them that we'll keep that area clean and cared for, and they will agree to not spray it. We're working through that and probably going to get that within the next 6 months. We thought we would have gotten it 6 months ago, but things go really fast, when it comes to bureaucracy. So, but still, we see no evidence that they're going to have any issue with that at all. It's commonly done for organic farms, so we're going to protect that buffer and everything like that. We have predators around. We have coyotes. We have deer that are trying to eat all of our apple trees that we're putting up. We put in 10-foot tall fences. Our farm has become a great place for people to ride their 4-wheelers on. So we have trail cameras everywhere trying to tell people you're trespassing, you can't continue to do this, you gotta be off our property. So you wouldn't believe all the things we have to go through. So it's very interesting. Yeah. Yes.
How many blueberry bushes do you have?
We got 3 acres.
3 acres?
Yeah, 3 acres of blueberries, right.
I know some of the other blueberry farms have problems with birds coming in. Have you put netting over yours?
So very good question. We did have a problem where the birds ate it out one year or lost the crop. Since then, we've started doing lots of strategies. There's noise mitigation measures. There's owl eyes is what they call them. They're mylar balloons that are about this big around, and they're bright yellow, and then they have a red eyeball in the middle of them. You hang them from different bamboo poles and everything in the field, and the birds think that they're being watched. Then you have to move them around periodically, things like that to make them, yeah, so. And here's the interesting thing, is that when you do a U-pick and kids come out there, they want to bat the balloons. And they're thinking, no, these things have a purpose, you know. They're important, yeah, so that's how we're saving that. Yes?
I just want to say thank you to your commitment to agriculture and coming back to the farm. Your mom and dad was very well respected.
Thank you. Yeah, they loved this community. They really did. They gave a lot to it. So I think my time is about up. Thank you so much for giving me this.